Good morning, Geeks and Gamers. Welcome to Geeks and Gamers Daily. How many more times will I say Geeks and Gamers in the intro? I have no idea, but we are here, we are live, and we have a few topics to talk about. But before we get started, we have a very, very deathly ill Ryan Kennel on the panel today. Ryan, are you dead yet?
I'm getting close to death. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I continue to get more stuffed up for some reason. I don't know if it's just a head cold or what, but it's annoying. We're here. We're ready to rock and roll. Not gonna let a cold stop me. Although I might sleep a little more than I usually do. But yes.
If you make any mistakes, can you say you're in a bad headspace? Can you just go with that one?
I can try.
I've never heard that excuse on the internet before.
I can try that I'm in a bad headspace. I can go back to I can pretend like I'm on an episode of Side Scrollers and just try to wiggle and worm out of every possible thing. $5,000 business expenses, whatever it may be. So,
yeah. Hey, so I don't know how many of you guys got to watch Side Scrollers yesterday, but it was a day that will live in internet history forever, probably. We know Stuttering Craig and Adam Krigler, and they had DSP on yesterday, and that was a banger yesterday. Wow. And when Craig made that announcement, I told Ryan's far more caught up in DSP lore than I am. And Ryan's like, does he know what he's getting into? I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, it seems like he kind of knows what's going on. And he's like, okay. And then I quickly kind of realized, like, with all the responses on Twitter and everything, I was like, Craig doesn't know what he's doing in terms of this thing. So I told Ryan, I'm like, I need to get on a phone call with you and Craig so you can explain to him. And so,
yeah, well, and that's kind of listen, I don't want to talk too much about it, but we basically said it could go really great or it could go really bad. And I think Craig chose the right path to take. And
yes, he was phenomenal.
Talk to DSP about a lot of that stuff. And you know what? I think that DSP felt like it was fair, which I don't know how everybody in the audience feels, but he seemed to feel like it was fair and that they allowed him to answer questions and stuff like that. And it sounds like there might be a part 2. But we shall see. I'm sure it was fun for everybody.
And then getting Keemstar coming in, talking to DSP. Keem was fantastic. I'm a huge fan of Keemstar. I always have been. The fact that DSP was trying to tell Keemstar he doesn't have self-awareness coming from DSP. And I think Keemstar has more self-awareness than most people on the internet. I just think he understands the internet very well. But yeah, man, it was crazy. So that was like a 5-hour stream over on Side Scrollers. I think we're probably going to have Craig on Tuesday night's main event this week. I already talked to him about it. So looks like we're going to have Stuttering Craig on Tuesday night's main event. So I'm sure we're going to talk about that in far more detail. But yeah, it was what's
funny? That whole thing is like, Phil trying to, hey, I've seen a lot of things on the internet about you, Keemstar. His entire argument gets blown out. But when you look at Keemstar, when you look at how Keemstar got his start on the internet, I don't even think you can argue that, like, from a perspective of, some of the shit that he's said, some of the shit that he's done is like worse than a lot of DSP stuff.
Yeah.
The difference is Keemstar has completely owned everything. He's completely acknowledged and owned everything he does. And, 15 years ago was much different than it is necessarily today. And I'm not super offended by anything Keemstar's ever said, to be honest with you. But like, I get why some people would be. Keemstar's completely owned that, and his career is just going to continue to rise and rise and rise and rise, even though he's been controversial at here and there. DSP has refused to take any ownership of anything at any point in time.
Yeah.
And you see kind of what the end result is.
Yeah, absolutely. So looks like we'll be able to talk more about that on Tuesday night's main event. It was a hell of a day for sure. But we got a few topics to talk about. I see all of you pouring in. Thank you guys for being here on Geeks Gamers Daily. We usually go about an hour every day. This is a Monday through Friday show, and we're here to bring you some of the topics in the entertainment world. First thing we're going to talk about is the most popular film ever created. And if you have any criticism whatsoever, you are a racist and you are against all black people and women. And you cannot criticize this film at all. And that would be The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid is... When is this movie coming out?
May.
Is it coming out in May? So this movie is setting up to be one of the biggest disasters we've ever seen. But right now, the Little Mermaid trailer on YouTube is sitting at over 1 million dislikes. This account right here, which I saw yesterday. Go back to that account. I saw this account yesterday, and they basically just said like it's being mass disliked by racists. It's being completely mass disliked, and essentially this is setting the tone. This type of nonsense. This is an irrelevant account. I've never heard of this account until when I saw this. I don't know who they are, but whatever. They are an irrelevant account. But this is the narrative right here, and this is what happens when you have the mainstream media pushing out that messaging. Then you have other NPC like accounts or people out there just pushing that nonsense as well, because they don't have any critical thinking ability whatsoever. They just repeat the narrative that they are told. This is called why it's called NPC. They're downloading new information and they're spreading that. If you think this is the beginning, you're sorely mistaken, because this has been going on for a while. And this Little Mermaid thing, I think, is going to be one of the worst examples of the mainstream media weaponizing someone's race and gender, because this is going to get extremely ugly as we get closer to this film.
Yeah, and I think just this declaration, it's being mass disliked by racists. Now, when they put this out, it was only at 648,000 dislikes. Now it's up over 1 million. So I don't know if they did themselves any favors by broadcasting that out there. And my question would be, how do you know that these people are the racists? Where did these racists come from? Why aren't these racists downvoting the Creed 3 trailer? Has many more black people in it than this movie does. Where are these racists for Wakanda Forever? If there was ever a movie to dislike because you're a racist, it might be Wakanda Forever. Yet that didn't get ratioed. That has like a 10-to-1 like to dislike ratio. Creed 3, an excellent like to dislike ratio. Somehow, another Disney live action remake has a massive ratio. We saw the same thing we've seen the same thing for Peter Pan. We've seen the same thing for that Pinocchio one with Tom Hanks, that joke of a movie. Like, all these things getting massively disliked. And it's not just because, Ariel's black. Now, I have a problem with Ariel being black because she's not black. They've race swapped this character. It's a cheap way to insert your own identity politics and not create anything. But there's a variety of reasons people are upset about this. One, it's another lazy Disney live action remake because they don't have any creativity left. They're just continuing to go back to the well to find things people like to do these lazy remakes. Two, the characters of whether it's Scuttle or Sebastian or whatever, like, this looks weird as hell. Nobody wants to watch this shit.
No.
And when you just look at the CGI, the effects, how dark, no pun intended, the entire movie looks, people have a problem with this for a variety of reasons. And you can scroll all through the comment section, and I don't know where you're getting that these people are just racists. Now, of course, this Pop Tings, they wrote this article back in May, why disliking new Disney The Little Mermaid is racist. Right? And they go through this entire explanation of, there hasn't been enough representation. There hasn't been enough representation over the course of Hollywood's history and the entertainment industry, marginalized communities. And if you don't support this, then you're inherently racist. It's just such nonsense, but this is going to be the strategy going forward. It's all they have left. They've tried to put out things. They've tried to put out these fires. It hasn't worked. They're going to go full, if you don't like this, you're racist, as a way to promote this movie.
Yeah, and I don't feel the general interest in this movie to even like see if it's the big train wreck that we expect per se. I don't feel like people even want to see this movie to even, you know what I mean, to even see the train wreck. It's just that you can see it. We already know how bad it's going to be. And again, you have to understand that the narrative is the same people that claim sexism and that fans hate women are now signaling that the people that are upset that the Little Mermaid is not a white girl are those are the sexist people. But now, because the sexist people apparently would like to see the character that it was created, how the character was created in the animated film, be realized. Now suddenly those people that hate women, they're just racist. That's all it is now. So we've moved from they hate women to now they're just racist, and that's how it's going to go every time. And again, we're only a few years away from the racist argument being irrelevant, because then it's going to move into the transphobia stuff. You know what I mean? Because the next Little Mermaid will probably be a trans character. And then it'll move from, oh, well, you're not racist, you're not sexist, you just hate trans people. Because with the Oppression Olympics, the narrative always shifts. But I feel like we are in a far different place now than we were 3 years ago, 5 years ago with this. You know, used to when we were criticizing this stuff, I felt like we were kind of on an island at times. You know what I mean? It's like, man, you know, now it's like everybody's waking up to the reality of what's going on. Disney is nothing more than a meme. A lot of these films are nothing more than a meme. It's a joke. And generally speaking, people are sick and tired of it. So this path that this defense mechanism that they have decided to the hill they're going to die on, it's going to be bad. The Little Mermaid is going to get bad. Everybody needs to get ready, because this is going to be one hell of a ride, and the mainstream is going to triple, quadruple down on all of these racist claims. Get ready. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be interesting to see what happens to this movie. The era of Disney just putting out these garbage live action remakes that are soulless, like Lion King and Aladdin making $1 billion, that's over. I think that the public perception of Disney is so different right now than it was 4 years ago in like 2019 or whatever that was, when they put out like 6 or 7 movies that hit $1 billion at the box office. It has fallen off a cliff for them when it comes to family entertainment, when it comes to the agenda they're pushing, everything. So I don't think there's going to be just some wave of people going out to see this movie to support. I think you're going to see the opposite. I think you're going to see a movie that is a big disappointment for them at the box office.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's Yellow Flash says the racist set aside their hate for Creed 3 to enjoy anime style boxing. Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess they've moved on. Those racists were and we're about a film we're going to talk about a little bit later. Those racists, I guess they're just hating on, or they're just boycotting Shazam. I guess is pretty much where they're at now, which makes a lot of sense, I guess. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, have we ever seen a film consistently get this amount of downvotes prior to it coming out?
I mean, 3.5 million dislikes on that first teaser is a lot. Like that's a lot. So I don't know if we've ever seen a movie get something like that. I don't think so.
I don't think we've seen it consistently. I mean, we may have seen one trailer here, but as we've talked about many times, if you go back to the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, we'd really never seen anything like that with a TV show prior to it coming out. And then we saw the Little Mermaid first trailer come out, and it was unbelievable how negative it was. And so now, how many ever trailers we've had, the backlash for this film is pretty much on a level we haven't seen, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment, but I don't think so. I feel like this is the most backlash we have seen consistently. So I don't know.
To put it in perspective, all right, to put this entire thing in perspective, Ghostbusters 2016 was widely panned. There was a lot of negativity surrounding that and the trailer itself. 48 million views, 1.2 million dislikes.
And the Little Mermaid, prior to even releasing, got 3.5 million.
3.5 million on its first teaser, and just the one that was released 5 days ago that has like 8 or 9 million views has 1 million dislikes. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Like, that is a lot of negativity. So yeah, I don't think so. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's not just that there's a black person in it. I'll tell you that.
No, it's not. It's a rejection of Hollywood's identity politics is what this is. And I just want to say I am so proud of this community for continuing to let Disney know how much we can't stand their bullshit. So
true.
Get ready, though. It's going to be a fun ride with the Little Mermaid. It's going to be a really fun ride to watch this train wreck play out right before our very eyes and watch the media panic and try to protect it and try to destroy fans and try to blame fans and try to paint a narrative about fans. It is on its way. I mean, we've already seen it happening, but it's going to get really, really ugly, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, we shall see. Let's hit some of these super chats. Mini Thin for 5. I asked Jeremy if he ever removed the hat. He responds, "This is the way."
This is the way. I remove it every day. I walk around G&G HQ without my hat all day long.
Quatrina VR for 2. The Acolyte hired intimacy coordinator for scenes. We're going to talk about that.
We are going to talk about that.
A Marcellus for 10. Does anyone have the team have or know about the Super NT? It's the best to play original Super Nintendo cartridges in the highest quality.
I'm sure Mark Cyborg knows about that. I'm very traditional when it comes to I don't like playing emulators. I don't even like playing on the virtual console. Really, I mean, I will, but I like playing on the original video game systems that were created. It just feels authentic when you do that. And so I have a Super Nintendo, I have a Nintendo, I have an N64, I have a Sega Genesis. I would rather play the games directly on those than any type of custom system or emulators or anything like that.
Best time is now for 5. If I criticize G&G, it means I'm anti-ripped jeans.
Pretty much.
Sparta Chris for 11 months says, it's because this isn't the first black female mermaid movie. That goes to Jennifer Lawrence. She beats out everyone on the first of things. Zenny Biscuit for 5. I miss when the biggest problem with The Little Mermaid was the oddly shaped tower. Yeah, remember when there's a penis?
I remember that.
Jack Hudson for 2. Super sticker. Thank you, Jack. Torchwood Gal for 2. Okay, with a purple alien Ariel, just make a good movie. There's some people that feel that way for sure. Yellow Flash for 5. The racists. Oh, we said that one. Thanks, Yellow Flash. G-Dash for 2. Will Ryan skip FNT like Fortnite? Probably not. Bashy Washy for 10. Ryan, when are you going to do an EFAP DSP interview with Az and Gundam? Hey, we already basically have one now on Stuttering Craig's channel, Side Scrollers, which is crazy. Yeah.
You think Gundam's going to EFAP that? He's probably gonna. He's gonna
make some content out of it. Yes.
Hell yeah, he is.
I was messaging Gundam during the stream. My favorite, because I told him that my favorite part of that stream that made me unironically laugh, even though it wasn't really that funny, was when DSP was talking about why the bank accounts couldn't be his, and he was talking about how much they spend at PetSmart, and he's like, it's not like I have a secret herd of dogs in my basement. I don't even have a basement. And those lines back to back were so funny to me. Like one that's the herd of dogs comment, and then the fact that he had to clarify that he doesn't actually have a basement. To me, were just like really fucking funny. It made me laugh for some reason. It was so stupid. But
it was amazing to watch Craig just slowly go from like, we're gonna have a good conversation, as you're like 4 hours in, Craig's like, okay. He's just trying to
but again, if you just came clean, if everybody just, if you just said what it was, I think people are humans, people understand, you can start from scratch, people forgive you. I will say, I will say this about the DSP interview. I give zero fucks about the joke, about the joke that was said by Phil on stream about the little girl getting, get the slave trade ready.
I don't care about that either.
I give zero fucks about that. Not at all.
Same here. I think that the context to that, and I do think this is the point of the questioning of that, was it was him saying like, oh, I've done so much better. I don't do those things, and this is me from 10 years ago, 15 years ago when so the context is not really, but overall, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that joke in isolation for sure, because jokes are jokes. Jokes are jokes.
Yeah, and the old stuff that Phil's talking about is was he playing Dead Space? I don't remember what he was playing, but he was going around and talking about like smashing Jews and stuff. Like that's a really old clip, like a decade old clip that a lot of people bring back up and everything. With his fucking joke from a year ago, I don't care about that. That's about all the grace I give Phil.
Tonight, CobraCast IRL is tonight after Friday Night Tights.
But let's talk about this intimacy coordinator shit here.
This is I swear, man, Disney Star Wars. Like again, in isolation, and this is the key to all of this. The key to I'd say 95%, if not even more, of my criticism of stuff is because of the hypocrisy or the consistent narrative or whatever. A lot of stuff in isolation I don't care about. I've even talked about this with like Brie Larson's comments. I don't care about Brie Larson's 40-year-old white man comments in isolation. I cared about the hypocrisy and the fact that you couldn't say that about another race or gender of anyone else. But because she said it about a white person, suddenly it was okay and it was acceptable in the world of Hollywood. So everything that we talk about, generally speaking, is about the hypocrisy or the nonsense that surrounds Hollywood in general.
Yeah, agreed. And in isolation, this wouldn't be like the biggest deal to me with so many Star Wars things in production, but because of who it is, because of what show it is, I do think there's reason to talk about this. Let me share my screen here. Boom. Star Wars declared worse and woker than ever after confirmation of intimacy coordinator hired for The Acolyte. Now, obviously, The Acolyte, ran by Leslie Headland, who's this, Jeremy?
That is Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Harvey Weinstein, the Harvey Weinstein, the father of Jennifer Lawrence's kids, that Harvey Weinstein. Yes, just want to point
Yes.
that out.
And this is a show that is taking place at the High Republic era, like 200 years before the prequels. It's starring Amanda Stenberg, I think that's her name, who identifies as non-binary, whatever. Very
There's a lot of
diverse, but a lot of
diversity. Just a lot.
representation
Yes,
in this
there's a
show,
lot of
right?
diversity in that shot right there. And I just want you to know that if you criticize this show, you hate diversity.
Yes, and they do now have confirmation that for the first time that we are aware of in Star Wars history, they've hired an intimacy coordinator. Sexy Sith, the Acolyte's 8 episodes, has an intimacy coordinator attached. As the Acolyte continues to see recent news centered around it, we're now getting a story that will likely come as a surprise to many fans. Star Wars Covered Geekly has recently posted to Twitter that Adelaide Waldrop is listed as the intimacy coordinator for all 8 of the hour-long episodes of the upcoming series. And it is confirmed it's not just like some random thing. This is on this website that shows her as the intimacy coordinator, that shows her production credits right there. The Acolyte lead intimacy coordinator. Now, intimacy coordinator doesn't necessarily mean sex scenes, but that's usually exactly what it means. That's typically exactly what it means. And that would be a first for Star Wars. There's no doubt about that. Now, when you have so many different Star Wars things in production, do I particularly care if something goes a little more mature? Not necessarily, but when you do look at Star Wars, although romance is obviously it's not at the forefront of Star Wars, but it's a key part of it. You know, when you look at obviously the relationship between Anakin and Padme that leads to so many things, you can't deny that their relationship is a key cog to things that happen in the galaxy and in the story. But we've never seen any type of, sexuality like that in Star Wars, any sex scene in Star Wars. This could be the change of that. And it's all going to happen on a show that's being run by an activist lesbian who is happy about being an activist lesbian. And I think we all understand where this is likely leading in The Acolyte.
Yeah, absolutely. If only Leslie Headland would have hired an intimacy coordinator when she was working for Harvey Weinstein, maybe a lot of women wouldn't have been abused. But hey, she decided to write a story about it and be very vague about her experiences. But hey, she's an advocate for women. We don't want to speculate on any of that. In terms of this is more of the same with Disney Star Wars. They don't care about Star Wars. They don't like Star Wars. They don't like Star Wars fans. They don't respect George Lucas. They don't respect his creation. This is about Disneyifying Star Wars to their feminist propaganda agenda. That's what this is. And I think this is a massive red flag. I do think, as Ryan stated, and as we've kind of made clear, there are things like this in isolation that you would just go, more than likely, you'd think, I don't know, for crying out loud, some of our favorite movies may have had an intimacy coordinator for all I know. Okay. So that's
just to be clear, that's become a much more common thing in the Me Too era.
Yes.
where now they're worried about interactions between people on set and making sure that everyone's comfortable with everything, that it's respectful. So like this whole intimacy coordinator thing has really come about over the last 5 years as more of like a big time thing that employs a lot of people.
Yes, but when you look at who's behind this project and who and how the entire nonsense has been surrounding all of this with Disney Star Wars Forever, ultimately this is not needed in any capacity whatsoever in a Star Wars production. We have seen how Lucasfilm and Disney, though, have pushed this nonsense. They want to push sexuality. They want to push all of that. We're literally having a drag show panel at Star
Yeah.
Wars Celebration, for crying out loud.
Jeremy, Star Wars is for kids. What are you
Yeah,
talking
Star Wars
about?
is for kids. We're just having a drag panel at Star Wars Celebration. It's all so you bigots. You're just upset that your movie with space wizards and laser swords that's made for kids has a little bit of diversity, but yet we're having a drag show panel promoted by Lucasfilm at Star Wars Celebration. This is Disney Star Wars, so I would say this is a big problem. Pay attention to this. We're going to continue to cover this because I want to monetize the hell out of Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant as she moves forward in this project.
Yeah, I mean, ironic that Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant has hired an intimacy coordinator to make sure that there's no Me Too's on set. Yeah, weird how that works.
Weird how that one works, indeed.
Yeah, it definitely that's not a rumor, that's confirmed, right, with these postings. So all right. Where is this? Yellow Flash.
You didn't say alt-right, did you?
I probably did.
Okay.
Yellow Flash 2, the homophobic media review bombing Shazam 2. We're gonna get to that. I'm trying to stall, hopefully long enough for maybe some numbers to come out. I don't know if we're gonna get them. A lot of times they drop between 11 and noon.
So I have not seen Shazam and I'm not going to see Shazam 2. I never saw either one of those. And I think a lot of it was just current DCEU stuff. I just didn't care. And I don't care about this one. And I don't think a lot of people are going to care about this one for a wide variety of reasons. I feel like the first Shazam was well received. It seemed like it was pretty well received. It didn't like do gangbusters at the box office or anything. But you know, I don't care about this universe. And now, I mean, they've point blank told the fans that this universe is irrelevant and none of this stuff matters. So that's going to hurt this film in a lot of different ways for sure.
Oh my gosh.
What?
This does not look good.
What?
If this is actually the number. All right. Well, it does look like we're getting some numbers in for Shazam for the Thursday numbers.
ERC usually pulls them pretty early. If you've looked at ERC, they usually get some numbers.
Like, yeah, I'm looking at $3.4 million.
Yep, here it is. ERC's got it. ERC's got the numbers. So go to ERC.
3.4.
It says let's see. Yes. DC's all fizzled, no sizzle. DC Shazam Fury of the Gods struck with a 3.4 million in previews. Remember, the OG hit 6 million back in 2019. That film opened at 53 million, while this one will likely be in the high 20s, possibly low 30s, if families do indeed turn up this weekend. With the NCAA tourney in full swing this weekend, it's doubtful it will receive much viewership support from those families. Let's see, Scream and Creed are still in high-end play, means that this is not only opening soft, but a one and done. So
yeah, let's get into this for a second. So we knew that Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods was going to have a rough road ahead of it because these box office tracking numbers are coming out at like $35 million opening weekend. That would be significantly less than the first Shazam, which opened to $54 million at the box office. Well, now we just got these numbers in. Box office, Shazam 2 flies to $3.4 million in Thursday previews. To put that in perspective, the first Shazam movie was almost $6 million in Thursday previews. So already we're seeing it tracking significantly behind. Put that on top of the fact that right now the critics do not like this movie, which whatever, I don't really put much trust in the critics necessarily. Of the couple audience members who have gone and see it, they feel okay about it. The people that wanted to see it, that were willing to go see it anyway. But when you compare that to the first Shazam was beloved by the critics and the audience and ended up doing pretty well at the box office. This is going to remind me a lot of what we saw with Black Adam, where the critics didn't like it. The audience members who gave it a chance and were interested in it and went because they knew they'd like it anyway ended up liking it, but nobody went. Nobody went at Black Adam, made like $400 million at the box office, ended up losing money for Warner Brothers. We might be seeing the same exact thing for Shazam 2.
Oof.
And the funny thing is, you can't even get the critics on board by making the characters more gay in this one. They made sure to put the gayness of a main character at the forefront of this movie because they wanted to make it more clear. They wanted to make it more evident. They wanted to make it a bigger part of the narrative. I guess even that wasn't enough to get the critics on board. Shazam 2, if these terrible numbers continue to track, this might end up like $30 million opening weekend. Could be the worst we've ever seen for a DCEU movie, including Birds of Prey.
And I think that we as fans, I think we need to stand up against bigotry and hatred. And the fact that the critics are now review bombing this film because it has a gay character is truly disgusting. And we as a people need better criticism out there. So these critics that clearly have review bombed this film because it has a gay character need to be called out, held accountable. They need to be exposed. And we're going to do that here. Sarcasm aside. Yeah, I mean, this movie is failing for many reasons, and a lot of it is right now, like, you have to, do we hold James Gunn accountable for this indirectly, Ryan? Do we hold him accountable for things like this failing to get any traction, considering the messaging that's being put out there after his announcement? I mean, he's effectively
I don't
killing
think that
these projects.
The thing is, I do think that the turnover of DC and the announcement of all this new stuff has an effect on it. What are you supposed to do? I guess, should you just keep quiet and not say anything until everything runs its course and then announce? I don't know. I do think that the very uncertainty of, well, are these characters going to be around? Does it fucking matter? Is there any connectivity? I do think that it will keep some people away and keep some people not interested, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I see no scenario where this movie was going to do anything. I don't see any scenario. You as a company, you as the leader now of it, James Gunn, like, you've done nothing to support this movie. You have essentially killed this movie. You have Titanfall 2'd this movie. That's what EA did to Titanfall 2. They essentially killed it. They murdered it before it even came out because of a lot of different things, release dates and putting in certain things. And with the messaging surrounding this movie, you have killed it before it even came out. You have told fans, you have put a signal out there to tell them, hey, this movie doesn't matter. This universe doesn't matter. We don't care about it. We are going to focus on James Gunn's new approach. So, we're going to bring Gal Gadot into the equation. Okay. Haven't they already stated that she's no longer going to return as Wonder Woman, or is that confirmed or not?
They haven't really officially said that, but she is in this movie briefly. They spoiled that in some of the marketing because I think they're desperate to get people to come to the movie. Obviously, Patty Jenkins no longer involved. They haven't specifically outright said Gal's not involved, but I think that's the assumption from a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's wild, man. And this movie, like, what does it need to break even, Ryan?
So with the new numbers that they put out, where they're somehow saying, oh, even though the budget was 125, we only ended up spending like around 100 million, probably needs to break about $300 million to break even. It's going to have a tough time doing that if it has these type of numbers, this type of opening.
Yeah. So I think that it's gonna be fun to watch it. I think we should upload this video and titled it Homophobic Critics Review Bomb Shazam 2. That's what I think we should title it right there. Maybe. I think we should hold these critics accountable for their bigotry.
And I see some people, who went and saw it last night saying there's no pandering at all. It's a 2-second moment where, Shazam's brother comes out and says, I'm gay and all this stuff. Well, you know what the problem is? That these screenwriters can't help but talk about how important it is. Gaiden, the screenwriter, explained that while this aspect of Pedro's character was hinted at briefly in the first Shazam film, he really, really fought for us, including that and bringing that to the fore in this movie. The only new addition for this movie is being a lot more forthright about Pedro being gay. And it was hinted at in the first movie very subtly. And I thought it was really important and really, really fought for us, including that and bringing that to the fore in this movie. This is how they decided to market this movie. This is how the screenwriters wanted to talk about this movie. This is what they wanted to talk about. So can you really blame people when this is what the people involved with the film are saying about the film in order to promote it? And then you get in there and it's a couple second moment about him coming out and telling everybody he's gay. This is how they are pushing this movie because they think it'll help them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing in current Hollywood as innocence in how a person's sexual identity is portrayed on screen. Unfortunately, there just isn't. Like, when it is promoted in any way, shape, or form before a film comes out, it's over. It's over. It's done. Like, you cannot take that as just an innocent thing. Yes, if a gay person is in a show or something like that, okay. But when it's promoted, when there is any type of promotion or celebration surrounding it by the creatives involved, it's over. It's done. I'm out. I'm done. I don't care. You've lost me from that moment. Do not celebrate a person's sexuality. Do not highlight them. Do not define them off who they sleep with. The moment you do that, I'm out. I'm done. You've lost me completely. I'm out. So that's how you have to have that hard position on this.
So we'll see.
No pun intended.
Yeah, we'll see what this does over the weekend. That Thursday preview is that's really worse than I thought it would possibly be. That's really fucking bad. So we'll see what happens throughout the course of the weekend and what Shazam opens to, but it certainly doesn't look good for this movie. Despite the first one being a low budget movie, $80 million for a superhero movie, very low budget for a superhero movie, but had a decent return for DC. This one needs to make a little bit more to be considered that decent return, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Nope, not at all.
Let me get some of these super chats.
You got a big one that came in.
Yeah, I see $100. From David Murdoch Art for $100. If you're over it all, support alternatives. Don't want to support MTG anymore? Great. Check out your local shop and see who's got the Flesh and Blood pre-release this weekend. Play a different TGC. They're destroying brands and killing your local shops. Hashtag drag the dead. Hashtag counterculture.
So he's talking. What's he talking about? So is this a Magic
the Gathering? Yeah.
And so I'm not a Magic the Gathering player, but in terms of so he says that they're destroying your brands and killing your local shops. So see who's got Fresh and Blood pre-release this weekend. So that's what he's trying to point out. So Magic the Gathering, I've never been a trading card game player or anything like that, so I can't speak on this world at all. Have you ever been into that?
No, I knew a couple people about a decade ago who played it, and I kind of watched them play it, but I never really got into it or anything. Never got into Magic the Gathering. Flesh and Blood is a different tabletop card game. I don't really know anything about it, but I would take David Murdoch's suggestion and go check that out. Obviously, we talked about Magic the Gathering a little bit yesterday because Wizards of the Coast has introduced their Lord of the Rings race swapped Aragorn and all these other things that they're doing to bastardize Tolkien's lore. They've been like that. Wizards of the Coast have been like that for a long time.
Yes, I'm pretty happy with my thumbnail that I made. Black Aragorn matters, and then I put Simple Jack and Robert Downey Jr.'s what do you mean, you people, on the thumbnail. I was pretty happy about that. So I'm going to keep going with stuff like that. Black Aragorn matters. Just meme the hell out of BLM. So
yeah, we was Kangs of Gondor. I like that one.
Yeah. Laud them. No, it's Laud dem rangs. All right. Laud dem rangs. That's it. That's the proper way to pronounce it. But yes, Friday Night Tights. I saw a few people asking. The guest will be Benny Johnson, and we're looking forward to that. Benny's a great guy. He loves geek culture, loves what we're doing. He's always looking out for me and Ryan. I mean, dude has been crushing it in the past 6 months. Benny Johnson has. So we're looking forward to having Benny on. We talk to him all the time.
Yeah, hell yeah. He messaged me yesterday. He's like, "Hey, by the way, when is it? It's supposed to start again?" I'm like, well, it's supposed to start at 4. We'll see. I think it was last time he was on. It was 4:30. So
Yeah.
um, fictitious Dave Savage for 5. Did Disney really portray the black man that can't swim trip by having the species of a crab that can't survive in the water in Little Mermaid? Racism, probably. Uh,
Racism.
Midnight Eye for 5. I'd pay to see ML Mermaid if if on a plot twist she becomes Princess Ariel from Thunder the Barbarian. Thundar the Barbarian.
Thundar.
John Migda for 5. It's not a basement, it's a naughty dungeon. Thank you. Planet Fitness Bro for 2. What are you guys' favorite red pill / manosphere? I'll be real. I don't consume too much of that content. Anthony Johnson. I know I've talked to Anthony a couple times. I know he's in the Florida area. He's a cool dude. He does the 21 Studios stuff. I don't consume a ton of the red pill manosphere content, to be honest with you.
I mean, I guess if we're gonna qualify Andrew Tate as that, I enjoy a lot of Andrew Tate's stuff. I've talked about him a little bit on my D-Day Cobra channel, but typically I'm very much not into that whole kind of gimmick in that world per se. And the only reason I started paying attention to Andrew Tate is when he got mass banned from social media. And so I think all those, like, when people criticize Andrew Tate for being part of that world, I get it, because that's the Jack Murphy world, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that's the Jack Murphy world. So I think it's all kind of gay.
I think that there's some good people involved in it. It's just not like the content isn't something for me.
Yeah.
So it's not something I'm interested in. But I do know, hey, there's people that feel like it really helps them, and when they get involved with that, they feel a lot better about themselves, more confident. So that's all good for them. It's just not something for me. A Marcellus for 5. Shazam was messy, but hey, at least the male and female Shazam members got their asses kicked equally. They actually let Shazam hit a woman twice. Well, considering all the villains were women, you kind of had to, I guess. But thank you. EF. I haven't seen it yet. I was originally in town and watching it last night, but I'm fucking sick, so I've been kind of trying to rest. EF for 10. If Ariel goes to the Black Sea, is that the equivalent of going back to Africa? I don't know. Big Trouble in Little Vagina for 25. When Ariel said in the trailer, "Am I just a detergent brand to you?" I was flabbergasted and witnessed true cinema. Thank you. Jack Hudson for 10. It's funny that they say we need more representation in movies, but there's been representation in cinema for decades. They forgot there's more than just American cinema. I agree.
That super chat broke.
I know. Sparta Chris for 5. How much do you want to bet that in 2 years there'll be rumors of inappropriate conduct by people behind the scenes? What, in Acolyte? Chef Nick Nero for 10. Disney puts a passcode on the app for violence, but make characters gay and trans and children's stories okay with them. By the way, guys, love G&G Daily Grind. Oh, and Cobra Cast IRL. # religiously. Thank you. Whiskey One Eye for 5. Hey, guys, great show. The random question is Neil Druckmann the Ryan Johnson of gaming? There's some similarities.
There's definitely some similarities. Yeah, I think that's a pretty decent connection.
I actually think that Neil Druckmann is like far more insidious than Ryan Johnson, to be honest with you.
Probably.
Like I think that Ryan Johnson might just find it interesting to do what he did to like Luke Skywalker. I think Neil Druckmann almost like gets off on what he's done to those characters.
Well, I mean, if you go back to what Neil Druckmann was saying about, about like toxicity and all that stuff, and how pathetic he sounded when he was saying it in that little press conference, it's pretty bad. I mean, Neil Druckmann, I would not trust him around women or children. I'm just saying. I just would. Yeah. That's all I'll say about that. Or men for that matter, I guess, to be honest with you.
Not a Pirate says no. Ryan ruined someone's work. Neil ruined his own work. No, Neil Druckmann was not the only person. Bruce Staley was also involved in Last of Us. That's why it was not like Last of Us 2, because there were other people involved in that story in The Last of Us. And then when he left Naughty Dog, that's when Neil Druckmann got full control. So,
yep. And I think it's an appropriate time to say fuck Naughty Dog for what they did to this channel, for what they did to Ryan's channel, for what they did to so many other creators out there for their false copyright striking of channels, putting our channels at risk, creating at least a 30-day window of massive stress, thinking our channels were going to be deleted and ruined. Ryan had 2 strikes on his channel. This channel had a strike. Geeks and Gamers Play had a strike, thanks to Ryan. And so many other creators out there. And Manix was caught up in that. There were small creators that were caught up in that. I mean, Naughty Dog was striking everyone. So I will never, ever, 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 under any circumstance, forgive Naughty Dog or Neil Druckmann for what they did to so many people simply for criticizing their bad decisions. Big Abby Pump as you hook up, holler if you hear me. I also lost my Twitter account for 1.5 years over that. So
yeah, Big Papa Pump,
right.
Big Abby Pump. Where was I? Whiskey One Eye for 5. Oh, I said that. Texican Witcher for 20. Hail this court. You gentlemen are a good time. You remind me of when I was human and trained at Keir Moran's School of the Wolf. Where is that redhead gesturing wench? Would love to have her fare thee well, good gents. Thank you, Texican Witcher. The Exalted Patriarch for 5. Sip a Coke for the working man. 3 years sober. See you on FNT. Hey, I'll see you there, man. Exalted Patriarch.
Congrats. And Ruthie's dropped the link to our Meta PCs landing page. You can use the promo code GEEKS for a discount and to, help get us some kickback. So you guys make sure you go over there, support Meta PCs. Just hooked up 2 of the Meta PCs here at HQ last night. They're gorgeous, and they're doing great stuff for us, man. We really appreciate it.
Mage Demon for 10. When people ask Ryan, when are you going to eat pussy again? He replies, when people stop fucking with my food. Thank you, Mage Demon. Mike H for 2. No Henry Cavill Superman, no DC pushing forward. BMC CB, member for a month. It's only been a month, evidently. What's up, man? Israel Fury for ZAR. Is that Zimbabwe money? I don't know. Do people still believe Disney can actually turn Marvel and Star Wars around? The woke culture is too strong. I think some people have hope.
I don't, but yeah, there are people out there that do. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with having hope on this stuff. But I mean, I had hope for a long time with Star Wars. I'm more plugged into this stuff than a lot of people. So I understand how from afar, there's certain people that'll have hope for this. But I'm here to tell you, there's no reason to have hope for anything Disney, Star Wars, or Marvel.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Mage Demon for 2. Marjang, The Return of the Gathering. Kate C. Snake Plush Kitten for 10. A Black Aragorn. I thought Warner Brother gave that role to Ezra Miller. Israel Fury for another I think it's Zimbabwe money. As an African in Africa, the Black Sea joke just killed me. Great show, gents. Thank you. Andrew Michaels. Hey, Jeremy and Ryan. How are you? I sent a super chat last FNT, but did that before it was read. So I'll ask again. Ryan, who would you cast as live action Kyle Katarn? Love your content. Could I do Chuck Norris like 40 years ago? That's who I would probably cast as live action Kyle Katarn. I would have to think about it to give you an actual choice, but it needs somebody that can be like gruff and still have a decent sense of humor. I think that I actually don't think that Chris Pratt is a terrible
That's
casting.
exactly what I was about to say. And but the problem is it's because the problem of saying Chris Pratt is because we've said Chris Pratt for everything for so long now. You know what I mean? So it's kind of become a meme. It's almost like saying Emily Blunt for like a badass female star. From
Chris Pratt terminal list, like Chris Pratt, James Reese. That convinced me that he could like do a Kyle Katarn. Like before that, I don't think I actually would have said that. But like that one kind of changed my mind a little bit about Chris Pratt in general.
Yeah.
James Norman for 5. Opinion on the Crisis games and the Nanosuit. Currently replaying the 3rd game. I never really played Crisis.
I only played a little bit of the first Crisis game. I enjoyed the little bit that I played, but I never fully got into it. But I do remember when it came out, and I played it for a little while, and I enjoyed the mechanics and the movement in the game. but this is a long time ago. But I can't speak to anything directly on it. But it played a little bit.
Where the fuck did I go? Here it is. James Norman. I said that. Carlos Estrada for 2. Ryan Johnson is more or less Lofty, the director. Kung Fu Hot Dog for 5. Ryan/Jeremy saw the uncensored Gavin McGinnis FNT clip on an XX site, and now I can't unsee it. His disregard for the panel was cringe. John Wick 4, let's go. Yeah, John Wick 4 comes out next week.
Yeah, I mean, from so we did get official word from YouTube. YouTube said that unfortunately they could not detect any wrongdoing. It was just imagery was too small. Imagery was too small, and so even if the intent was to destroy the channel, unfortunately, there just wasn't anything to be detected. So maybe he just got out of the pool. Shout out to Seinfeld.
Let's see. MTG has always been diverse. This is from Kizzy. MTG has always been diverse. Hasbro's greedy, overproducing sets and devaluing collections. The Lord of the Rings race swap is for publicity. Using race for quick money. Sick. I agree. A Marcellus for 10. Jason Court is the actor who played Kyle Katarn in the live action scenes for Dark Forces. He's in his 50s. He would have been perfect as an older Jedi Master working for Luke in the sequels. Yeah, so like, obviously, that's not the best acting in those back in those games. I love them for what they are. I don't know if I would like pick him for to be in a movie or something. But yeah. Dub for Spirit for 5. WDW Pros reporting Disney hired an intimacy coach. Yeah, like you said, that actually got broke by Star Wars Geek, whatever the fuck, because it was on their website. But yes, WDW Pro also did do an article about that. Intimacy coach for the Acolyte. Looks like they're getting desperate to attract an audience. We talked about that probably about 20 or 30 minutes ago, Spirit. Yep. Check that out.
I do just it did come up, but I do have an official we have an official quote from Gavin about FNT last week.
I was in the pool! I was in the pool!
All right, so there you go. There's your official comment from Gavin from last week. So
it's true. Butter Biscuit for 5. This stream's a perfect pick-me-up every morning to perk up the day. Keep up the good work, and thank you. Thank you, Butter Biscuit. And he does become a channel member.
Butter Biscuit, what's up, man? Good to see Butter Biscuit back.
Kizzy for 2. Have you watched the trailer for Strays? Do it. I don't think so. I don't know what that is.
I haven't seen that.
We got any Streamlabs or anything, Jeremy?
I checked about 5 minutes ago. Didn't see any. I haven't seen the trailer for that, so I have to check that out. Nothing.
I've seen it. That's the dog one. Yeah.
I don't like watching sad animal movies. I just can't do it. I'm not man enough to do it.
This ain't a sad animal movie.
Well, it's called Strays.
All right. Let's watch a little bit of it.
No, I don't fucking want to watch this shit.
No. It's not as sad. It's got fucking Will Ferrell. It's like, it's about a guy. Let's just watch it. I've seen it, but here we go. Yeah, I told you it wasn't like some sad thing, but
I don't do sad. I don't like sad dog movies, so I just don't. I can't do it. Can't do it, man. Can't do it. Won't do it.
Warren Perkins for 2. Keep up the good work, fellas. I wish y'all success. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And that's about all we got for today.
So obviously we got Friday Night Tights coming up over on Nerdrotic's channel. That's going to be happening in about 4 hours from now, and then Cobra Cast IRL afterwards. I guess you can call it the Friday Night Tights post show is what it's becoming, and that's kind of what it was last week when Gary and Ryan hopped on, so we discussed the events of what happened on FNT. Don't forget MegaCon Orlando. Geeks and Gamers is going to have a panel there. I hope you guys can show up. I don't want us to be sitting in a room full of empty chairs, because that's always been my biggest fear. There's this, I talked about this yesterday, but like there was this girl who's like, she had like a 1.2 million followers on social media, and she went to a con, and like literally not a single person showed up for her panel. I'm like,
wow.
So hopefully we'll get at least 10 people to show up. We'll see. Every time we do stuff like this, I panic thinking nobody's going to show up. So hopefully we'll get a few people there. So MegaCon Orlando, the whole crew is going to be there. The whole crew, everybody who's down here in Orlando, you'll get a chance to hang out, talk to us, meet us. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys there. Saturday at MegaCon. We're going to have, I believe, is it 2:30 is the panel?
2:30 panel, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I cannot wait to meet all of you. And then other than that, you know, like I said, just please go over to Meta PCs if you're in the market for a new PC and go check out the Geeks Gamers landing page. There's going to be links in the descriptions. So please go over there and check that out. Other than that, what do we got, Ryan? Oh, we got a couple more.
We got a couple more super chats. Lil Pug for 10. Hey, I was surprised you guys weren't aware Brendan Fraser was blackballed for admitting to being a conservative, but it's been largely scrubbed from the internet and replaced with a Me Too story. I'll be real. I've never heard that about Brendan Fraser, but this is what I'll say. There's a little connection in my head is that the same guy that Brendan Fraser said groped him, the guy who is like the head of, his last name's Burke, the guy who's like head of the Hollywood Foreign Press, whatever. That's the same guy that James Woods claimed blackballed him for being a conservative. So that's the connection I'm aware of. You'd have to point me to some kind of story or something, some actual shit where Brendan Fraser said that. I don't remember that, but maybe.
Yeah, we can look into it. We definitely covered if we can find some stories. So again, the other thing too is you know, we have a Discord for Geeks and Gamers. So if you guys have you not joined that yet, I'm sure Mods can drop links to that as well. And that's kind of where I kind of keep up with a lot of the Cobra Cast stuff. And my Cobra Cast Discord is within the Geeks and Gamers Discord. We have a section in there. So we've got a lot of stories that people want me to cover. That's the best place to drop it for there. And I think we should probably just create a Geeks and Gamers daily section within the Discord. That way, if there's stories you guys want us to be aware of, things like that, we could probably check that out. But other than that, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
These last couple ones real quick.
Kizzy, hang on. I was gonna say every single one of these daily streams has been fantastic so far. You guys have turned out in great numbers, and we appreciate it. Go ahead, Ryan.
Kizzy for 2. The end of the trailer is the best. We missed it. Wolfsbane for 2. Anyone remember Homeward Bound? Good times. I love Homeward Bound.
Homeward Bound is
Lost in San Francisco. Not as good, but still.
Homeward Bound is one of my favorite movies, and I'm a bitch by the end of it. So it's hard for me to watch dog movies, man.
Stumpy for 2. Brie Larson for live action remake of Happy Feet. No. Brado Jacko for 5. Why does everyone assume Lucas didn't know what KK would do to Lucasfilm? He knew her in the Hollywood cult for 30 years. Don't know. I think it was overall, I think, probably a mistake to sell Star Wars in the grand scheme of things. But
yep. And there's a Discord link right there. So if you guys want to go join our Discord, please feel free to do that. Thank you guys. Yeah, I know, but that's why we have main event that lasts like 3 hours. Friday Night Tights will probably last 7, knowing Gary.
Yeah, we got enough streams. Yeah.
And but this show is meant just to kind of give you guys some daily content that we can clip some of the stuff out, re-upload those videos, and that's it. So thank you guys. We appreciate it. We're right at an hour. We love all of you. Smash the melee button, and we'll see you on Friday Night Tights in a few hours. Bye, everyone.